Welcome, travelers of Tamriel, to another glimpse into the darkest corners of our world. Today, we're entering the Soul Cairn through the testimony of a soul trapped between existence and void, someone who made a bargain they couldn't understand and paid a price that never stops collecting. You're about to hear what really happens to souls trapped in black soul gems after they're used for enchantments. The ideal masters aren't just collecting souls, they're feeding on them, memory by memory, until nothing remains but gray whispers in an eternal void. This is a first-hand account of dissolution, of watching yourself forget everything you ever were while being powerless to stop it. A father's confession about the bargain that separated him from his daughter forever, trapped in a realm where even time forgets to move forward. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. The moment the ideal masters accepted Valerica's bargain, I felt myself being pulled apart. Not my body, understand, but the essence of what I was. Like watching honey being stretched between two spoons, except the honey was everything I'd ever been. The portal behind me sealed with a sound like breaking glass, and suddenly I was here, in this gray nothing, in this place where color went to die. I need you to understand something before I continue. I wasn't always like this. I had a life once. A real life with morning bread and evening wine. I worked as a scribe in solitude, copying trade agreements for the East Empire Company. My daughter would bring me lunch wrapped in cloth, still warm from the ovens. She had her mother's eyes, blue like the sea of ghosts on a clear day. I remember that much. The eyes, but her name keeps slipping away from me like water through cupped hands. The Soul Cairn doesn't greet you with fanfare or horror. It greets you with silence so complete it makes your ears ring. The ground beneath my feet was gray stone, cracked and ancient. The sky above was gray clouds that never moved, never changed, and between them, floating like jellyfish in a dead sea, were the soul husks. That's what we call the ones who've been here longest. The ones who've forgotten everything except the ache of forgetting. Valerica had warned me about the bargain, you see. She needed someone to help her escape her husband's madness, someone to assist with the portal ritual. She promised me riches beyond imagination, gold enough to ensure my daughter would never know hunger, never know want. All I had to do was offer myself to the ideal masters as collateral, just until she returned. Just a few days, she said. I don't know how long ago that was. Time doesn't work here the way it does in Tamriel. Let me tell you what it feels like when the ideal masters first take you. It's not pain, exactly. Pain would be merciful. Pain would mean you still have nerves, still have a body that belongs to you. No, this is different. Imagine every memory you have is written on parchment, and invisible hands are slowly erasing the ink. You can feel it happening, but you can't stop it. You watch the words fade and know that something important is being lost, but you can't quite remember what the words said in the first place. The first thing I forgot was the taste of food. One day I was trying to remember what horker stew tasted like, and I realized I couldn't even remember what taste itself was, just the word, empty of meaning. Then went the feeling of wind on skin, then the sensation of being tired, of needing sleep. The ideal masters don't take everything at once. They're patient. They have eternity, after all. I met another soul here, early on, when I still remembered how to feel surprise. His name was Marcus, or Magnus, or something with an M. He'd been a merchant from Riften, sold soul gems to mages without knowing where they came from, without caring. The irony wasn't lost on him. He told me about the soul husks, pointed to them drifting past us like fog. Look at them closely, he said, and I did. They weren't quite human anymore, weren't quite anything. Translucent shapes that might have been people once, moving without purpose, without thought, just endless wandering. He said that's what we all become eventually, when we've forgotten our names, our faces, our reasons for existing, when all that's left is the vague sense that we should be somewhere else, but can't remember where. Marcus, or Magnus, he tried to fight it at first. He scratched his name into the stones, over and over, made me promise to remind him who he was when he started forgetting. But promises don't mean much here. I found his scratches the other day, or what I think was the other day, and I couldn't remember who MAR was supposed to be. The letters meant nothing, just marks on stone. The ideal masters themselves never show their faces, if they even have faces. They exist in the great crystals scattered throughout the realm, purple and pulsing, like exposed hearts. Get too close, and you feel them feeding, drawing something out of you that you can't name, but know you need. The first time it happened to me, I tried to run. There's nowhere to run in the Soul Cairn. Every direction leads back to gray stone and gray sky, and those purple crystals humming their hungry song. Sometimes new souls arrive, still burning with memory, still fighting. They always ask the same questions. How long have you been here? How do we get out? Where are the ideal masters? I try to answer when I remember how words work, but my answers make less sense each time. A woman arrived recently, or maybe it was long ago, screaming about her children, how she needed to get back to them. She had red hair, like someone I knew once, someone important. The woman with red hair spent so long searching for an exit that doesn't exist. Now she drifts with the other husks, and I can't remember if her hair was red or black, or if she had hair at all. What do you think really happened here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to know if I'm the only one who feels this way. The worst part isn't the forgetting. The worst part is knowing that you're forgetting. It's watching yourself disappear piece by piece and being unable to stop it. I had a daughter. I know I had a daughter because I can feel the shape of her absence, like looking at the indentation left in a pillow after someone gets up. But I can't see her face anymore, can't hear her voice. Just the echo of an emotion that might have been love, might have been anything. The architecture here makes no sense. Buildings that were never built, just always were. Towers that reach toward nothing. Walls that protect nothing from nothing. Sometimes I find stairs that lead down into the ground, but there's nothing below us except more Soul Cairn, stretching on forever. The dragon bones scattered about are older than old, from dragons that died before death was invented. Even they seem more alive than us. At least they remember what shape they're supposed to be. I've started making tallies on my arm with a sharp stone, trying to count days, but the marks fade, or I forget what they mean, or I realize I've been making the same mark over and over in the same place. Time isn't a river here. It's a lake with no shores, no bottom, no surface. We're all drowning in it, but drowning takes forever when you're already dead. The ideal masters want us to believe this is peace. That's what they tell the necromancers who send souls here. An eternity of rest, they promise, freedom from the struggles of mortality. But this isn't rest. Rest implies an end to activity. This is erosion. We're being worn down like stones in a river, except the river is made of nothing, and the stones forget they were ever mountain. There's a dragon here too, bound by his own foolish bargain. Durnavir, he calls himself, though names seem like such fragile things now. He at least remembers what he is, holds onto it with claws and fury, but even he's changing. His scales are the color of the Soul Cairn now, purple-gray like a bruise that never heals. He guards Valerica, or did, or will. Past and future tangle here like thread, with no beginning or end. Wait, I need to stop. Something's happening. I can feel myself slipping again, feel another piece falling away. What was I telling you? Something about a dragon? No, something about my daughter. I had a daughter. I think I had a daughter. The shape of her is there but empty, like looking at darkness and knowing it used to be light. The shape of memory, that's all that's left sometimes, like pressing your hand into clay and then removing it. The impression remains, but the warmth is gone. I found Valerica's laboratory the other day, or was it years ago? She'd built herself a little sanctuary near the boneyard, surrounded by soul husks she was studying. Even here, even trapped, she couldn't stop being a scholar. She looked at me when I approached, and for a moment I thought she recognized me, but her eyes went through me, like I was just another piece of the landscape. Maybe I am. She was talking to herself, or to someone who wasn't there, talking about her daughter, Sarana, about blood and prophecy, and the tyranny of the sun. The words meant something once, I'm sure of it, but listening to her was like hearing a conversation through water. The sounds were there, but the meaning kept drowning. I wanted to scream at her. You brought me here. You promised it would only be days. You promised, but when I opened my mouth, I couldn't remember what promises were, just that they were things that broke, things that always broke. The Boneyard Keepers started appearing after Valerica arrived. Massive things, wearing armor made from suffering and duty. They don't speak, don't need to. They're extensions of the ideal, Master's will, and their will is simple. Keep Valerica contained, keep the barriers strong, keep us all here forever and a day past forever. I watched one of the keepers fight a soul who still remembered how to be angry. The soul had been a warrior, I think, still held his shape well enough to swing what he remembered as a sword. The keeper didn't even slow down, just walked through him like he was mist, because that's what we are here, mist pretending to be people. The Soul Cairn has weather, if you can call it that. Not rain or snow, but something worse, storms of forgetting that sweep across the gray plains. When they hit, you lose years, decades, centuries all at once. I saw one catch a new arrival once. She went from screaming about her husband to staring at her hands like she'd never seen hands before. Just like that, a whole life erased in the time it takes to blink. If you've ever wondered what choice you would make in a situation like this, tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them. There's a merchant here, Morven Stroud, his name is, and he clings to it like a drowning man to driftwood. He trades soul husks for whatever remnants people have left. Broken memories, faded emotions, the ghost of a laugh you can't quite remember making. He says commerce keeps him human, keeps him real, but I've seen him counting nothing with nothing, making deals with the air. The Soul Cairn takes everyone's sanity eventually. It just lets some of us keep the illusion longer. I tried to escape once, walked to what I thought was the edge of this place. But the Soul Cairn doesn't have edges. It just keeps going. Gray stone becoming gray stone becoming gray stone forever. The horizon here isn't where land meets sky. It's where hope goes to realize it never existed in the first place. The crystals are growing larger, or maybe I'm getting smaller. It's hard to tell when you don't have a body anymore. Not really. What looks like flesh, what feels like hands and feet. It's just memory wearing a costume. Sometimes I forget what shape I'm supposed to be, and I scatter like dropped papers. Then something reminds me I was once a person, and I pull myself back together. But each time I reform, there's less of me. I met Giube here. Saint Giube, he insists, though sainthood seems like a joke in this place. He died in Kvatch when the Oblivion Gates open, soul trapped by a Dremora in his own home while writing his memoirs. He's still writing them, actually. Pages and pages about cliff racers and redemption. He asks everyone to help him find his lost pages, as if completing his story will somehow get him out of here. I don't tell him that stories don't end in the Soul Cairn. They just forget their beginnings. The soul husks grow here like mushrooms, pushing up through the cracks in the stone, purple and wrong. Some of the newer souls eat them, thinking they're food, thinking they still need food. They don't realize the husks are what's left of souls, even older than the ones drifting above us. The ideal masters waste nothing. Even our remnants become part of the landscape, something else to be consumed. There's supposed to be a reaper here, a legend even among the dead. Something that harvests souls within the Soul Cairn itself. Though what happens to something that's already dead and gets killed again is a question nobody wants answered. I've looked for him when I remember to look for things, found fragments of black crystals that burn cold to the touch. They say if you collect enough fragments, the Reaper comes. But I keep forgetting how many I've found, keep losing them, keep finding them again. Durnevere speaks sometimes, when the weight of his bondage allows it. He tells stories of the skies he'll never see again, of battles with other dragons whose names sound like thunder. He made his bargain thinking he was clever, thinking he could outlast Valerica's mortality. He didn't know she was a vampire. The ideal masters did. They always know. That's the thing about them. They don't trick you, they just let you trick yourself. I've started to understand something about this place. The Soul Cairn isn't a prison. A prison implies someone wants to keep you contained for a reason. This is a battery, We're all just energy here, slowly being drained to power something we can't see or comprehend. Every forgotten name, every lost memory, it all flows to those purple crystals where the ideal masters feed. Sometimes I hear whispers from newly arrived souls about the world above, wars and dragons and the end of times. It all seems so important to them, so urgent. They don't understand yet that urgency is just another thing the Soul Cairn takes. First your urgency, then your worry, then your care, then yourself. The buildings here are memories too, I think. Echoes of places that mattered to someone once. I found a tower that might have been from the Imperial City, or might have been from somewhere that never existed. Inside was a chest full of nothing, guarded by a wrathman who might have been the memory of a guard. We fought, or performed the memory of fighting, and when I won, I couldn't remember what I was looking for. If this story has kept you listening this far, and you want more of these dark confessions from Skyrim, hit that subscribe button. It tells me someone out there is still paying attention to warnings like these. Valerica works on something in her laboratory, always working, always mixing, always searching. She's trying to find a way out, she says, or said, or will say, but I've watched her make the same discovery over and over. The look of hope on her face when she thinks she's found something, followed by the crushing realization that she found the same nothing yesterday and the day before and the day that never was. The ideal masters spoke to me once, not in words. Words are too small for them. They spoke in absences. In the spaces between thoughts, they showed me what I could become if I just let go completely. Perfect peace, they promised. No more struggling to remember, no more pain of forgetting, just gentle dissolution into the gray eternal. It was tempting. It's always tempting. That's why the soul husks drift the way they do, peaceful in their complete surrender. But something in me still fights. Some tiny ember that remembers it was once a fire. Maybe it's the thought of my daughter, whatever her name was. Maybe it's just stubbornness. Or maybe resistance is just another stage of dissolution, and the ideal masters know that too. There are soul fissures scattered throughout the cairn, cracks in the ground that leak purple light, and whispers. If you listen closely, you can hear the voices of souls that fell through, that found something worse than the Soul Cairn below it. Yes, there's something worse. There's always something worse. The ideal masters are middle management in a hierarchy of hunger that goes down forever. I should warn you about the Arvak, about the horse that burns with cold fire. But the words keep slipping. Was it a horse? Was it burning? Or was it just another soul wearing the shape of something it used to love? Was it a horse? The question echoes in what's left of my mind. Arvak, they call it. Him used to be someone's faithful mount, loyal even in death, loyal even here. Now he burns with soul fire that gives no heat, running endless circles around a cairn that has no circumference. His owner searches for him still, or the memory of searching, or the habit of what searching used to feel like. I've been practicing holding on to thoughts, one thought, any thought. Today, or what passes for today, I managed to remember the color blue for almost an hour. Not what blue looked like, but the word itself. Blue, blue, blue. I repeated it until it became sound without meaning, then meaning without context, then nothing at all. But for that hour, I had something that was mine. The other souls don't talk to each other much anymore. We drift past like ships in fog, occasionally bumping together, mistaking each other for memories or dreams. There was a woman I used to walk with. We'd trace the same path around the boneyard, not speaking, just being near another consciousness that still knew it was conscious. One day, she wasn't there, or I wasn't there, or neither of us had ever been there. The path remains, worn into stone by feet that don't really exist. I've discovered something terrible about the Soul Cairn. We're not the only things trapped here. The realm itself is imprisoned, caught between existence and void. The ideal masters didn't create this place. They found it, a wound in reality where things go to unhappen. They just learned how to feed on the unhappening. Sometimes bones rise from the ground and walk. Bonemen, the newer souls call them, as if naming them makes them less wrong. But they're not men, and they're not really bones. They're the Soul Cairn's attempt at remembering what life looked like, getting it wrong in ways that hurt to perceive. They attack us, or we attack them, or we all just go through the motions of what conflict used to mean. When they fall apart, they leave soul gems behind. The irony is perfect and terrible. Even here, we become the things that trapped us. Valerica's portal still exists, you know, hidden in her laboratory, inactive but intact. She could reopen it if she had the ingredients, if she had the will, if she remembered why she wanted to leave. But the Soul Cairn has worked its gray fingers into her mind. She's more obsessed with her research now than with escape, studying the soul husks, the crystals, the nature of degradation itself, as if understanding the mechanism of her dissolution will somehow prevent it. I stood before one of the ideal master crystals yesterday, or last year, or never, close enough that I could feel it pulling at whatever I use instead of life force. And for just a moment, I thought I saw through too. The other side, not the ideal masters themselves, but what feeds them. An endless chain of consumption going up and up and up to something so vast and hungry that the ideal masters themselves are just another kind of soul trapped in a bigger cairn. The thought should have driven me mad, but madness requires a mind intact enough to break. Instead, I just felt tired, the kind of tired that comes from carrying something so long you've forgotten what it weighs, only that you can never put it down. There's a word wall here, half buried, the dragon language carved into stone that remembers being mountain, but the words don't glow, don't sing, don't teach. Even the Thu'um has no power here, just shapes that used to mean power, as meaningless now as everything else. Durnavir guards it sometimes, or sits near it, or becomes it. His form shifts when he thinks no one is watching, spreading out like spilled ink, forgetting the shape of dragon. I need to tell you about the soul essence. When you enter the Soul Cairn, truly enter it, not just your body but your essence, a piece of you crystallizes, becomes a gem. Valerica explained it once, when she still explained things. The ideal masters take collateral, even from visitors. That's why some who enter feel weakened, drained. Part of them is already trapped here, waiting, just waiting. My gem is out there somewhere, purple-black, like a bruise in crystal form. If I could find it, hold it, maybe I could remember everything. Or maybe I'd just be holding the proof of my own undoing. The newer souls search frantically for theirs. The older ones have forgotten they ever had anything to search for. The lightning here strikes, but doesn't illuminate. Purple-white flashes that leave darker shadows, that reveal nothing except more gray stone stretching to a horizon that's always the same distance away. Sometimes souls stand in the strikes deliberately, hoping to feel something, anything, but the lightning passes through us like we're not there, because we're not really, not anymore. I found pages scattered near the boneyard, Jube's writing. His life story, he calls it, as if life is something that can be storied after it's gone. The pages talk about cliff racers and redemption, about finding purpose in destruction. He doesn't realize he's writing the same pages over and over, that his opus is a circle with no beginning or end. Just endless middle, endless nothing pretending to be something. You want to know the cruelest thing about the Soul Cairn? We can still dream, or something like dreaming. Visions of places that might be memories, or might be imagination. I dream of a kitchen with sunlight through windows, of someone singing while kneading bread, of small hands covered in flour. But when I wake, if waking is what this is, I can't tell if those were my memories or someone else's that drifted by while I wasn't paying attention. The Reaper exists. I've seen him now. It, them, the Reaper isn't one thing but many things that forgot they were separate. A convergence of souls so far gone they've become a new kind of nothing. Fighting it is like fighting fog with memories of fists. It reforms, reappears, re-exists every time it's destroyed. The ultimate fate of soul husks that husk so completely they circle back to being almost something again. There's no day here, no night, just eternal gray twilight that never deepens, never brightens. But sometimes the sky tears, little rips that show through to something else. Not Tamriel, not oblivion, just different gray, different nothing. The tears heal themselves, or we forget they were there, or they were never there to begin with. I've been trying to warn you. This whole time, I've been trying to warn you about soul gems, about what they really cost. Every enchantment powered by a soul gem, every weapon charged with trapped essence, it all feeds this place, feeds the ideal masters, feeds the thing that feeds them. We're all connected by invisible threads of consumption, the living consuming the dead, consuming the deader, consuming the deadest, in an endless spiral down to gray. My name was No. My name is No. I had a name. Everyone has a name until they don't. Until the Soul Cairn takes it letter by letter, sound by sound, meaning by meaning. I know I'm forgetting something important as I tell you this. Something about why I started talking. Something about my daughter. My daughter. I had a daughter. I have a daughter. Somewhere above, where time still pretends to move forward, she might still be alive, might still remember me, or might be old, or dead, or here. The thought that she could be here, drifting past me without recognition, is the only thing that still feels like pain. Real pain. Not the gray ache of existence here, but actual, sharp, specific pain. I can feel myself fading now. Each word I speak takes more effort, like trying to hold water, while it turns to mist, while the mist turns to nothing. This confession, this warning, it's all I have left to give, all I have left to be. When it's done, I'll have nothing to hold me together except habit. Valerica is gone now, not escaped, just gone so deep into her research that she's become it. Another crystal formation studying itself. Dernevier roars sometimes, but the sound is getting quieter. Not because he's farther away, but because sound itself is forgetting how to be sound. The Soul Cairn isn't death. Death would be mercy. Death would be ending. This is undeath, without the kindness of unconsciousness. This is being awake while you dissolve. This is knowing you're becoming nothing and being unable to stop watching it happen. If anyone hears this, if anyone cares, remember, every soul gem you use, every creature you trap, they all end up here. In this gray forever, in this hungry nothing, and the ideal masters grow stronger, and the thing that feeds on them grows stronger, and somewhere, somehow, my daughter's name was, I can't. The gray is so thick now, so complete, I can barely see my own hands, can barely remember what hands are for, just shapes at the end of shapes, moving through gray, becoming gray, being gray. This is my confession. This is my warning. This is all that's left of whoever I was before the Soul Cairn took everything except the habit of speaking. Don't trust vampires who make bargains. Don't trust portals to other realms. Don't trust promises of temporary anything. And whatever you do, wherever you go, whoever you are, don't let them trap your soul.